Hello, everyone, and welcome to an exclusive Dogman Sasquatch Oklahoma Encounters. My name is Lance Hightower, one of the Cryptid brothers here, coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I'm going to forego some of the initial and structured introductions that we normally have with the show, recognizing our subbers. And this is a rare opportunity. I had a gentleman call me a little over a week ago that him and his cousin were attacked while fishing. They were attacked by a Bigfoot out in Ohio. And due to the nature that there is some ongoing investigation by federal agencies that we're not sure of right now, I spoke to him just yesterday, which would have been the 17th of October. He was still not sure if he was being followed. His cousin has been talked to numerous times. He didn't mind that I gave his name, but I think I'm going to, under the circumstances, try and protect him as much as possible because everything is still fresh. There's still ongoing military vehicles out at this location as we spoke yesterday, which would have been Tuesday. So I am not going to spill the beans on this story, but I do have to give you a little bit of an intro and fill in some of the blanks prior to this story. I'll probably put this episode in two parts. When I spoke to him, we spoke from midnight to 3 in the morning, and there's a lot of interesting twists and turns and strangeness to this whole attack. This gentleman he never knew that Bigfoot existed. This was entirely something new. He chalked it up, Bigfoot, to folklore, wives' tales up there with the Easter Bunny, and he had no idea that these things were real. So when he found out that they were real, not only was this a shocker, how it happened, but the events that transpired from the attack thereafter is just as strange. So I'll just say this, that after this part 1 series, I'm going to have like a post review of what you heard and where that part 1 is still in presently. So I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. Please share this story as much as possible. The reason being is that we don't understand if these certain agencies listen to these shows or not. I'm going to say some do, but if they do listen to these cryptid encounters online on YouTube and various shows, then they have the ability to shut the show down. So if you'll share this show with others, I realize that many of you that are subscribers to the show, many of you listen for pure entertainment, and that's okay. That's great. I appreciate you. But I know that a portion of you that listen to this show, I'm going to say around 20%, have had encounters that you couldn't explain. You're still trying to deal with the encounter of what you saw and why you saw it, and still trying to piece things together, and a lot of whys and not understanding a lot of things. But you're fascinated. You have you're baffled on why these things even exist. So to the 20% that you're listening to the show, to understand and be informed, because it's not that you believe they're real, you know they're real, and that's what this show is going to be about. To the 20% that have seen something, been an eyewitness to something that you couldn't explain, this show is going to be informative. It is the real deal. It is what can happen if you are attacked or make contact, if there's human contact with a Bigfoot, especially that turns out not so well, as in this particular event that transpired with these two gentlemen that are cousins, or if you have killed a cryptid, being that of a Bigfoot or a dogman or whatever exists out in the woods. This is what can happen when you tell certain state agencies that have a trickle-down effect, or rather a trickle-up effect, to federal agencies that come and visit and knock on your door. So this encounter gets really big fast, and we as the public are told entirely different things. How this gentleman contacted me was very strange as well. He is not a computer user, very nice man, just a hard-working guy up in Ohio, him and his cousin. He doesn't use the computer much at all, so he doesn't know anything about these shows that are what we call the cryptid genre of shows here on YouTube. So how he found me was very interesting. I'll let him tell that. He was very shook up. We all tried to get all of the tracks. At times he was on a phone, so he had the phone way low sometimes and up high, so there are moments where it is difficult to hear, but you have to understand this gentleman, he's not a professional journalist. He's talking on a cell phone, a burner phone, if you will. It's not his normal cell phone, and so he's in shock. He's still in awe. He is just wanting to talk to someone because he realized real quick he couldn't talk to just anyone. So how he found me, again, like I say, was very interesting. Let's just say that our toll-free number was given to him by a person that came on the scene. So after this first episode, I'm going to have a discussion period where I'll explain a couple things and my opinion. Now, I do give my opinion to him during this segment. I know this is a long intro, but I had to do a little bit of an intro here in all seriousness to basically prep you that this is the real deal. This is what happens. Be informed. To you, that's the 20%. This is exactly what happens. There are some things that I told this gentleman. I'm staying in contact with him. We've spoken 4 times. So this is the first time I spoke with him. The other 3 times I have not. It's just been on my cell phone and not in the studio. He called at various times, and I told him to call me day or night. And we've given him some recommendations to do that I did not have an opportunity to record. So there's some things that I won't discuss on the air of how I told him to go about certain things. But for the most part, I just wanted to put this on as soon as possible, since this is like right now ongoing. His brother and him, they called me, his cousin, they called yesterday, and he said there were military personnel still at the site. So I wanted to get this on as soon as possible, bump some of the other shows to get this on to you guys and let you know what's happening. So let's go now to the conversation we had. I did get his permission to use this. I'm going to try and protect his name and any of the specifics exactly where this has occurred, because I wouldn't want anyone else to start going out there and rubbernecking, and since people will start asking too many questions. We want to keep these shows up for you to be informed and to learn. And so that's our purpose, that's our goal here. But I will say it occurred in Ohio, and it occurred on an island, and it occurred at a reservoir. And so I'll just leave it at that. So anyway, let's go there right now. This first conversation that I had with this gentleman, he was in distress. At the time of this conversation, his cousin was still hospitalized from the attack, from his wounds, his injuries, and he was just trying to make sense of everything. So listen up, take notes if you need to, and listen to this. And as I said, share this episode as much as possible should it be removed. It won't be removed by me, and it won't be removed by YouTube if it gets taken down. It'll be by other people that don't want this information out. So let's go now and listen up.
Hello there. My name's and I had an encounter with a Bigfoot. Not a Dogman, but a Bigfoot. And I don't know if y'all do those or not, but this just happened to me. Today is Monday, October 9th, and this happened to me on Friday of this week. So it's very fresh, very new, and I haven't even slept since Friday. I haven't been able to fall asleep for 2 minutes. I need to talk to somebody about this. It horrified me so bad. It actually put my cousin in the hospital with 4 broken ribs and a big old gash on his chin. And if you would call me back, please call me. I need to talk to somebody. I got your phone number from a police officer at the hospital when I was with my cousin. He told me about that website of yours, and that's how I got your number. I'd appreciate it. Please call me. I don't have anybody to talk to. That police officer is the only person that didn't treat me like a nut. And he told me that he knows they're real, that he believes every word I said, and he's seen it himself. Not the one I seen, but another one. And I just need to talk to somebody. I'm not very computer savvy. I don't email. I don't do that. I didn't even know how to get onto your, whatever it's called there, your page on your internet. He helped me out. So if you would, please call me as soon as you can. I need to talk to somebody about this before I go frickin' crazy. And I don't care if it's 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Just please call me. I probably won't be sleeping anyways. Thank you.
I could tell in your voice that you guys ran into some problems. But I wanted to definitely get back with you because I could tell you were upset.
Upset isn't the word.
Well, I guess...
First of all, let me ask you this.
Yes.
I talked to a police officer at the hospital.
Okay.
My cousin was injured, and he's the one that told me about your show or whatever it is. I apologize for being ignorant with that. I don't use the internet or nothing like that. I'm only 50 years old.
I understand.
But, I got a dumb phone. I got a little flip phone. I'm not into computers.
I understand. Give people a platform to share if they want on what happened. We just want to know what happened and the circumstance because we don't understand these things well enough, and so we're trying to educate people that have seen these things what happened to someone else so they can be more educated what to do and what not to do. So
right. That's a good thing.
Yeah, you don't have
These
to
things
prove
are out
us.
there, and it's dangerous. These people need to. If you go to the woods, I don't care if you're fishing. You need to take you a big gun.
Yes, and that's the other thing
and
we
I
stress.
mean big.
We stress to people never leave home without a firearm, and we've gotten flack over that. But we are adamant about that. But I guess if you wouldn't mind, if you can drive and chat here or whatever you want to do, just kind of tell me a little bit of that day, what happened on Friday.
Okay. And you don't think I'm a quack or something, right?
Absolutely not.
This guy told me, this cop told me that I could call and talk to you and tell you everything, and that you would understand, and you wouldn't make fun of me, and you wouldn't think I was a weirdo.
No. This is a non-judgment free zone because I can tell you right now, I have heard hundreds of encounters, and unfortunately for every encounter that we hear, there's probably thousands that we'll never hear because people don't have enough courage to come forward.
Right.
So you don't have, I don't No, you're not nuts. You saw what you saw, sir. You saw what you saw.
I thank you so much for being like that. I thank you. I'm going to talk to you. Will you let me call my wife. Give me 3 minutes to make a phone call, and let me call you right back. This will be the time that I can talk to you.
Sure, no problem.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
we're back.
All right, no more interruptions on my part. I appreciate you understanding and dealing with this. You talk about changing your life with that other guy. I'm telling JC, I'm telling you what, I've been in 150 outdoorsman all my life. Man, I'm so shook up right now. I'm sorry, Lance. I don't even know if I can talk.
Well, just
I don't.
I can. Are you on a speaker? Are you on a speakerphone?
Yeah.
I can probably hear
Can you hear me okay?
I can a little bit, but I can hear you better if you're actually on the phone rather than a speakerphone. If you can work that way.
Okay, is that any better?
That's better. That's better.
Okay, if we have a bad connection, I don't mind calling you right back or trying anything. I just need to get something off my chest if I can talk about it. I haven't even told my wife. She knows something's wrong. I just keep telling her I'm not feeling well. Me and my cousin was fishing. I'm just going to jump into it.
Okay, go ahead.
Friday evening, we was close to an island. There was 3 islands out here on this lake that one of them's pretty decent size, and 2 of them just, you can throw a rock across them. The one's probably about a mile wide and quarter mile long, half mile long and a quarter mile wide. You camp out there. You can take your boat out there. Not too many people fish out here. It's pretty far back in there. Where you gotta park at, there's a gate, and then you gotta walk a good mile.
Is this in Ohio?
Depending on where you're gonna put your boat in.
Is this in Ohio?
This is in Ohio, yes, sir.
Okay.
Sure is. I'm originally from, grew up in Texas, and moved to Ohio after I got out of the service. I was stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington, with the 2nd Ranger Battalion, and you hear Bigfoot all the time out west, out up there in Washington State. I mean, people talk about Bigfoot all the time. It's like a common thing. Not necessarily meaning that people see him or believe in him or anything, but they'll make jokes. You tell them something, you was fishing and heard a weird noise. Oh, that's that Bigfoot out there clowning around.
Right.
I've always kind of, was a skeptic. I won't say I didn't believe in Bigfoot, but never seen one. Never talked to anybody that's seen one, but I kept an open mind. Why couldn't there be something out there like that? I know they find different species all the time.
Exactly.
And it was always possible to me that there was, but just the people, the things they would say, it was just unbelievable to me. Something talking about a 9 or 10 foot animal. I'm thinking, well, then there would be one. Somebody would have one somewhere.
Exactly. We totally understand. We've got the same thing here.
And
so
this is rough, man. Okay, a little backstory on me. I'm 50 years old. I was gun-ho. I was in the military for a little over 6 years. That's an airborne race. Jumped out of airplanes. Been in combat situations. Thank God I've never taken nobody's life. I've been shot at in the military. I'm a straight guy when it comes to the law and stuff. I'm not an outlaw. I think everybody should own a gun. I think everybody should carry a gun. Not just because of Bigfoot, but that's just the way I feel. I follow the law. I'm an outlaw in the sense of a rebel, I would say, when it comes to, I like to do things on my own terms. I've always been my own man, done a lot of things independently. My cousin that I was with that had this encounter with has been like a brother. We grew up together, and we're brothers and cousins. He's the exact same as me. Very outdoorsy, very independent. He's 2 years older than me, so we're both getting up there, so we're not as tough as we was when we was in our 20s, but we're still consider ourselves tough guys.
Right.
And
I'm kind of losing you a little bit here.
I'm sorry, I might be drifting away from the phone too.
That's okay. That's better. That's better right there. I caught.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I know, it's okay.
I was just,
I caught that you guys
to be a tough guy, I'll tell you what, this scared me like a little girl, and I'm not even embarrassed to tell you, since I pissed my pants, Lance. I peed all over myself, and if I'd have had to.
Wow.
We was fishing, and we're in a 12-foot John boat, just a little flat-bottom John boat with electric motor. And reservoir, you can look it up on the map. It's a pretty good-sized lake. It's a real big lake, actually. And it's in the boonies. It's not way out like in the Pacific Northwest up on the mountain or anything, but it's it's out there a good ways.
What's the reservoir again?
It's in County, in Port County, in Ohio, and I guess the area. Have you ever heard of it?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and know this lake very well. Me and my cousin have fished it for years. One of our favorite bass lakes. I deer hunt right around there. We got a couple permanent stands that we have built in the same woods as the reservoir. I got a climbing tree stand for other occasions. On this occasion, we was doing a little fishing and a little scouting. Bow season's open now in Ohio, and we're both big bow hunters. So it's probably around about 4 o'clock, and we was talking about going to the end of the lake where we had the sighting at, and one of our tree stands are there. And I know exactly what time it was when the rock hit the water, because I just got done looking at my phone. It was 5:10, and 2 seconds later, a rock hit the water right in front of the boat, and I yelled at my cousin because I thought it was him, and I asked him what the hell he thought he was doing. And he yelled at me, thought it was me. And we just like scratched our head thinking, damn, we was right by that island. And we was thinking some kids or somebody was out there throwing rocks. Well, Lance, I'm going to tell you, there was a rock probably about the size of a bowling ball, landed, almost hit the front of the boat. My cousin's sitting in the front of the boat. I'm in the rear with the trolling motor. I seen it coming.
Oh.
It didn't, this was a big rock, Lance, and I'm telling you, it come with some speed and velocity behind it. It just wasn't lobbed out there. It come straight. It wasn't arching or nothing.
Dang.
And I immediately looked where I seen it coming from, and I didn't see a thing. And my cousin started hollering and screaming and talking about kicking somebody's ass.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He said, take me to shore right now. I'm going to kick that mother's ass. I'm sorry, Lance.
No, just feel free to tell me. Just don't worry about that.
I feel scared. He said, take me to shore right now. I'm going to kick that motherfucker's ass. And I'm like, who are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's like, that big black dude over there behind the tree. He went right behind that tree. I seen him. We got a little flat bottom John boat, and it just skidded right up on the shore. And before I could even turn the electric engine off, he was already out of the boat and standing on the bank.
Damn.
And he pulled the boat up more so I could get out. And as I get out, he started hollering and screaming and picked up a handful of rocks, little rocks that was there on the shore, and threw them back there towards the tree line. And it's pretty thick in there. I mean, not real thick. You know, you can get through there okay. You know, there's some briars and stuff, but you could see through there. And I couldn't see nothing. I mean, nothing. And it's big. As big as this thing was, I don't know how in the hell I did not see him. And just then, Lance, this thing hollered or screamed or did something, man. And I mean, it about knocked me down. It was so freaking loud, and I could feel it actually. This probably sounds silly to you, but I could feel it inside of me. It was like somebody beating on a drum.
Yes.
Or
yes.
I don't know how. Like with something with a lot of bass in it, like a big loud music, you can feel it in your chest and stuff. You know.
Yep.
That's how it was. I felt it through my whole body, and I kind of like got sick to my stomach. I don't know if it was fear or what it was, but when that happened, I felt like puking. And my cousin, I mean, we looked at each other, and it was just like, we didn't say a word, but it was like, what the?
Right.
And I was like, come on, let's go. Let's get out of here. And just then, as soon as we was like, turning around again, I mean, we're only a few steps away from the boat. And as soon as we turn around to go, just, I don't even know what freaking call it except monster, man. This ugliest, the meanest, scariest looking thing I've ever seen in my life come out around this tree. And it was so big. This tree was probably 3 feet around. That it was probably 3 or 4 feet away from it. And its right arm, he wrapped it all the way around the tree and hanging on to it with its right arm. And I mean, this is a big tree. And he was able to wrap his arm all the way around it, and he was still a good distance away from it. And I just froze. I couldn't move. I peed my pants. I couldn't talk. I couldn't scream. I couldn't do nothing. I just froze. And my cousin, he was right beside me, and he grabbed me by my arm and like tried to throw me in the boat, and I couldn't make myself do nothing, Lance. Like I can't explain it. It's like I just froze. I don't know. I froze. And normally I'm pretty good under pressure. I'm not scared of tuna. I'm not scared of anything that I know of. I've never been scared like that. And
Wow.
I feel safe with my cousin ever. I mean, we've been in the hard bar fights together. We've been through thick and thin. We've been through everything, and I know he's always got my back, and I don't worry about nothing with him.
No.
And all I had a 357 Magnum on me. I always carry a pistol with me. And he had a 45. And it never even crossed my mind to draw my pistol. Never even crossed my mind to do it. And I don't think it would have did a bit good anyways.
Yeah.
That's not near enough done.
That's what a lot of people say.
Enough.
A lot of people say the same thing. So
I'd be scared to shoot it just because I piss it off. I'm being serious.
He was able to move?
My cousin didn't even... Go ahead.
He was able to move?
My cousin?
Yes.
He
was trying to grab you?
Yeah, he was a little bit better than me, but he didn't draw his gun either. And that's basically the only thing we talked about with this. We haven't even really talked about it. He just got out of the hospital today. But he didn't even draw his gun either. And I was trying to move, and he's trying to help me in the boat. And this thing come at us, and I mean, it was 40 yards away from us at that tree. And this thing was there in like a second. I've never seen something move so freaking fast in my life. And I mean fast. It was almost like unreal. It was almost like a cartoon. It is the only way I can explain it, how it moved. It was just weird. It was so graceful and agile for as big as it was. And just as it got to where it could reach, I just knew I was dead. I knew it. I was dead. And boom, it turned and made a hard left and was like gone in a split second. I mean, gone. And just disappeared. And this thing had to be, if it was an inch, it was 9 foot tall. Every bit of 9 foot tall. It might have been 9. It might have been 10 foot. I don't know.
Dang.
I'm pretty good with measurements.
Yes, sir.
And this thing was at least 9 foot tall. And it moved so freaking fast, and I didn't know it. But when it went by, it knocked my cousin ended up about 6 feet in the water. And it pushed him, or so he don't even know what happened.
Oh, really? So it possibly made contact with him.
Oh, it definitely made contact. It broke 4 ribs.
Dang.
It definitely made contact with him. And then he couldn't hardly. It knocked the wind out of him and everything. He couldn't. It punctured his lung. One of his ribs broke and punctured his lung. And we was in a world of trouble. And I'm still froze. I'm still freaked. And I mean, I'm froze. I was no good for a couple of minutes, and I got my shit together in my head and got my cousin and helped him get out of the water. And he's all hunched over and doing, you know how it is when you get the air knocked out of you, how you you're trying to fight to get your breath and you can't.
Of course.
And
yes.
He's like, I'm hurt, man. I'm hurt. He's like, you gotta get me to the hospital. I'm hurt bad. And that's all he said. And I helped him, out of the water, and we was getting in the boat. I mean, we're right there at the boat and everything. And this log comes flying, hits him right in the chin, and just missed me.
What? Say that again.
He had to get.
Say that one more time.
A log come flying and hit him right in the chin. It just barely missed me.
Dang.
It hit a tree and bounced off the tree, missed me, and hit him right in the chin. He had to get 17 staples or stitches in his chin.
Oh my gosh!
Along with the broken ribs.
And this wasn't a small branch. This was a log.
Oh, yes, sir. This was no switch or branch. This was a big old log. A big old log. We're lucky it hit him the way it did, or it would have took his head off. Because, I mean, it come out there with some velocity. If it wouldn't hit that tree first and hit one of us before it hit that tree, it probably would have killed one of us. It hit, so it sounded like a damn rifle going off when it hit that tree. And it hit him in the chin. It just got him at an angle and knocked his ass out.
Really?
So now I'm by myself. He's knocked out. I got him leaned over the boat, and I don't know where the damn thing is. And I'm just horrified. And I finally drew my pistol. And give me a second, please.
Take your time, please. No hurry.
Oh, man. I promise you I'm not no little sissy.
When these encounters happen, buddy, this is not a matter of how big or bad a guy you are. I mean, it doesn't matter how big or how tough someone is. It has nothing to do with that, buddy. It's a very terrifying event. And I can't even imagine that experience there.
I can't even talk.
No, it's okay. Just no hurry, man. No hurry. No hurry.
This is the first time I haven't talked about it at all. Anyways, I drew my pistol. I get on the other side of the boat in the water. My cousin's, I got him leaned up against the boat with his head in the boat. Both his arms and his head's in the boat. The whole front of the boat's out of the water. Just the ass end of it's in the water where the motor is. It's just, like I said, a little 12-foot flat-bottom John boat. I'm sure you know what that is.
Yes, I do.
And I go around the back of the boat. I reckon I'm trying to put as much distance between me and it as I can, but in the same time, I'm trying to put cover between me too. If you follow what I'm saying?
I do. Yes, that makes sense.
I drew my pistol, and I'm just trying to find where this thing is. So my head's on a swivel. I'm looking everywhere, and I can't see it. And it's probably 5:30 in the evening now, and nice, bright, sunny day. And this thing was so black that it's almost like it absorbed the sunlight. I don't know how to explain it. It was weird. That's beside the point. But anyways, I'm back there with my pistol, and I'm just scanning, trying to find where this thing is, trying to get the boat into the water. At the same time, but the way my cousin's playing, it won't let me pull it.
Oh,
it's a bunch of rocks there,
gotcha.
Some good-sized rocks.
Gotcha.
And I couldn't get it in the water without moving him. And so I get up there, and he's awake now. He's alert, and he's scared shitless too, and blood's everywhere because he's got water on him. So it looked like a lot more blood than it was just because he was wet. But I mean, he's got blood everywhere, and I'm freaking out thinking he's dying. And I took his pistol from him. So now I have two pistols, and I told him to get in the back and get the boat ready, and let's get the hell out of here. And he couldn't hardly move because of his ribs, and I wasn't thinking about that, but he was starting to gurgle and couldn't breathe, and I didn't know if he was having a heart attack or what, because there was no injuries on his exterior except his chin.
Wow.
Couldn't understand why he couldn't move, and like I said, he punctured his lung. One of the ribs broke and punctured his lungs is what happened. And as he's trying to hobble himself away, I'm not helping him at all. I got both pistols in my hand, and I'm just covering us so he can get the boat and we can get the hell out of there. And this thing just stepped out and started. It was beside a tree, and once again, I don't know how I didn't see this. They're perfect camouflage. I don't know how they do it, but they can be right in front of you, Lance, and I'm telling you, you can't see it. 9 foot tall, probably 4 foot across. It looked like a piece of frickin' plywood. It's that wide.
Oh my gosh.
And thick. I mean, just thick. Unbelievably thick. And oh my gosh, his mouth. Wow. He could have probably bit my head off, and I'm not exaggerating. His mouth was so freaking big, Lance.
It's almost like it's some people say it's something that it's like out of a makeup Hollywood horror. I mean, it's so massive and so big that it dwarfs our bodies so much that it's unbelievable.
It is. I can't. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It like a cartoon almost, because of how big it was. You know, that's the only thing that made sense. But its mouth was like enormous. It's huge.
Wow.
It it would have, honestly, have no problem biting your arm off. I really feel that. It didn't have, like, big canine teeth or anything. It had teeth like a human, basically. I didn't see any, like, pointed, sharp canines or anything like that. But the weirdest thing, the inside of its nose, when it come the second time, when it come around, after it stepped out from the tree the second time, it was standing there, and it was like, I thought it was like playing peekaboo. And my cousin's like hollering and screaming, and he's spitting up blood and all this, and I'm froze again, out of fear, and it's like poking its head back, and it was like swaying, kind of, like moving back and left and right,
Yes.
back and forth. I don't know what it was doing, because there was nothing in the way that it would have to look around or anything.
Well,
It
sometimes...
was like it was trying to, like, it looked like it was like looking beside a tree and ducking back, but there wasn't nothing in its way. It come out around the tree.
Gotcha.
And it was just standing there moving back and forth. And then it, like, made a noise like it was clicking its lips. I watched it do it. It was only 20 feet away from me. And it was like making a noise like, I thought it was chomping its teeth down at first.
Yes.
Biting real hard on its teeth, but it wasn't. It was like clicking its tongue. Like I don't know how to explain it. It was just making a noise like that.
Right.
And then it like took a few steps towards us, and I'm still froze. I'm frozen terror. My cousin's going off. My cousin, I don't know, he wasn't afraid or nothing. He was belly bad, hollering and screaming at it and telling it to get the hell out of here and all this, and I can't even talk. And he's bent over. I didn't even want to take my eyes off of it if I could, but I didn't want to look at it in the face for some reason. I stared at its chin. I couldn't look at its eyes. They were like real. They were far apart. No. Ooh, hang on. Ooh.
That's okay.
It's ugly. Man, it was ugly. Ugly. Freaking ugly, dude.
Did it have a face like a human? Could you? I mean, or was it more primate in
There was
looking?
nothing human about this thing. The only thing human about it was the way it stood on 2 feet. And it I don't know. It kind of looked. I don't know what it's called. It kind of. Don't take this the wrong way or something, but kind of look retarded.
Oh.
Like, you ever seen a retarded person, how they look? They got that look to them.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I do. I know what you're talking about.
It kind of looked like that. They got that. It had that funny look. The people, the retarded people that's retarded like that, they all look the same.
Right. They have a certain.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they have a certain look about their face. Yes.
Yeah. And you can tell. If you see them on the other side of the road and you don't know they're retarded, you can tell just by the way their face looks.
Right.
It looked like that.
Right.
Kinda. Not exactly like that, but kinda. But the inside of its nose, Lance, and I don't know why, I kept looking at it, but it was pink. Bright pink. It reminded me of like that, like Hubba Bubba bubble gum. When you chew it and you spit it out, it was pink like that.
Sounds like it was.
Just as pink as could be.
Yeah, it was upset. When it's...
And I could see in its nose good. I could see real good in its nose. And for some reason that just struck me real funny. Not then, but now it does. Its nose was wide and flat, kind of human looking, but flat. Kind of like a boxer that's been hit too many times. just wore out nose and pink in the inside. Its eyes were black as coal. I didn't see any white at all. No whites in them eyes, just black, like a shark. Like there wasn't nothing in there good, for sure.
Wow.
And far apart, they were pretty far apart. It looked like he had sunglasses on at first, but they were just black. Wow. I gotta take a second, Lance. I'm sorry, man.
No, hey, no, you don't, please don't apologize. You just,
I kind of feel better talking to you because you don't think I'm an idiot or
no, sir, not at all. You're sane.
You know what? I don't know how to explain it. I want to tell somebody, but I don't want to talk about it. But I need to tell somebody, but I know they're just going to think
I know
lying.
Well, here's the thing: is that there's plenty of people. And I am very impressed with the law enforcement because typically their hands are tied. They typically don't. Most people in law enforcement, game rangers, game wardens, people in the paramedics, in the health industry have seen these things, but they cannot say anything because their superiors tell them they are not allowed to say anything or recognize anything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I didn't even get into that with you. A police officer is the one that told me how to get in touch with you.
See, that's where
he listened to me.
I'm impressed with that. So what I'll do is I will call you tonight at 11 o'clock sharp, and we can.
Okay, I understand you got to go, but let me tell you this.
Yes, please.
In the report he made, he told me a bear attacked my cousin. The police officer did. And I kept telling him it wasn't no freaking bear, dude. I know my animals. And he pulled me aside, and he wrote down your phone number for me and told me to call you, that he believed me, that he knew it wasn't a bear, but he had to put that in there that that's what he had to do. And I told him, no, I don't want you to do that. It wasn't a bear. Put in there that it was a creature. It was a monkey. It was a gorilla. It was something, but not a bear. And he told me that that's what he had to do.
See?
So
and
you're right.
Yep, that's the norm because this has happened to many people we've talked to. So there's, I want to get into
come to my house, the cop did.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday. He come over yesterday and talked to me about this. He believes in it. He believes me 100%.
Okay.
He don't think I'm lying.
See, there you go.
And that makes me feel good that he believed that, because I was scared to death. I didn't know what to tell anybody about it, especially, when I took him to the hospital and tried to tell them what happened, and they wanted to send me to the 7th floor. That's for the loony bins. And they're the ones that treated us like crap, like we were stupid and ignorant. But the police officer, the game warden, and a park ranger, all was it that showed up when I made the phone call when we got back to the boat ramp. And within 5 minutes, there was 20 officials there from all kinds of different departments, and that one cop is the only one that took me serious and didn't jive. Even the police were jiving us, and I couldn't believe that.
When we talk tonight, I want to talk tonight. I really do, and I'll call you. I'm a man of my word, and we'll talk some more about that specific subject matter.
Okay, and you promise you'll call me at 11 o'clock?
I promise. We'll get into some detail here, and I'll tell you my theory on some of that as well.
Okay. I'm sorry that
no
that
problem.
I'm acting the way I'm acting. I can't help it.
That's okay.
I don't want to act like a little sissy.
No apologies.
But it's like I'm reliving it when I tell you, and it still horrifies me, dude.
I know. I'm sorry.
So,
It's just, I promise I will call you. I promise.
Okay.
Okay. Tonight at 11.
I'll talk to you at 11.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Lance. Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, Lance.
Was this okay still?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Sure is. Man of your word, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. No problem. I just had a family commitment I had to go to, and then we're back, and everybody's kind of off in bed, which I don't get to sleep till late and all that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
I understand that.
How you doing, buddy?
It's just terrible.
Are you doing?
How am I doing?
Yes, sir.
Actually, 100% better since I talked to you for some reason.
Good. I'm glad.
Since the last time we spoke, I feel a whole lot better. I just don't know if I'm going to sleep or not, but I feel a lot better.
In talking to a lot of folks and having some experiences ourselves, I mean, I can't say I've ever had the experience you and your cousin had, by no means. I can't even imagine what you both went through, but it'll be a daily basis thing, it'll be a day by day, and it'll get a little bit better after, because it just happened on Friday. So, if your cousin will openly communicate with you, which it sounds like you guys been through a lot of thick and thin things, so it'll help for you both to kind of talk about it too a little bit, if he's willing to open up once he kind of heals up a little bit, but it may take some time for him.
He won't even speak about it. He basically just tells me to shut the f***. I don't even want to talk about it. That was his exact words.
Really? Well, when sometimes you find out that does happen when two people have the same experience, and it's very traumatic. Especially, this is like a Class A where there was contact made, which is very, very rare. But when it happens, it's such a traumatic event to the person that some people never want to speak about it again. Some people do, and you never know who those people are going to be. So it's a day-by-day process. It's a day-by-day. And when he's, up to the point where he may not want to talk about it right now or next week or next month, or even next year, or maybe never. But at some point, he is, strange as it may be, it does feel better to share with someone that's not going to judge you and that will just listen, and it'll make him feel better at some point down the road, but I don't know when that'll be.
It's amazing on how much better I felt when we hung up. I knew you was calling me back, but after I got off the phone with you, it was like a load of bricks was lifted off my chest. It was amazing.
That's wonderful.
I went to the store and got, I almost got a beer. I quit drinking. I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I went to the beer aisle, and I was just going to get beer, and I didn't care. I was just going to get totally drunk.
Right.
Thank God I didn't. Thank
Good.
God I walked away from it. But that's how I felt. But then when I got back in the trunk, when I was leaving, I said a little prayer, and I thanked you, and instantly it was like a ton of bricks lifted off me.
That's wonderful.
I can't wait to get everything off my chest. I can't.
I'm glad for you. I really am, and I'm thankful and honored that you shared, and I'm thankful for the officer to have the courage to give you, even when he won't be able to document what he knows about you.
Well, he told me. Now, I wasn't going to say this to nobody because, you don't know his name or anything, but it doesn't matter. He told me that he has to write up. I wrote the report. I wrote it out in my own words. He told me he had to write a different report.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't understand why he would have to do that.
Well,
and he explained to me that he can't turn mine in to his superiors for some reason, that he's writing it up as a bear attack. Now, there's been maybe 3 bear attacks in 200 years around here. There's very few black bears. I'm pretty close to the Pennsylvania border, so we have more bears here than in most places in Ohio. But it's just so unlikely that that's what it was. I couldn't believe that that's what he was going to do. But he stopped over to my house. He came seeing me and made a personal visit to check on me and check on my cousin and find out how we was doing. And then here to find out, he had an encounter about 3 years ago.
Oh.
It's when he was hunting. So he knows they're real. There was no doubt in his mind what he's seen.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't want to talk to him because he's a police officer. I don't know. I just felt funny talking to him.
Sure.
Maybe it was face to face. I don't know what it was, but I couldn't open up to him.
Right. Well,
like, I feel like I can talk to you and tell you every little detail.
Absolutely. And there's one thing though we can say is that what I appreciate about this officer, and I don't know him, but what is rare in this particular circumstance is that he was honest enough and truthful enough to you to tell you the lowdown, which people never get, and that is this. He was honest enough and truthful enough to tell you he's going to have to write another report, and this is what we've seen, not just me, but many, many, many other people that have had encounters, whether it be in national parks, which happens very frequently, what happens in state parks, what happens in rural areas that county sheriffs have, police officers, emergency personnel, people with authority. And what happens is that there's 2 reports. And one report is what's printed as public record, and it goes in the newspaper that everybody sees. They see bear attack, feral dog attack, domestic dog attack. They see mountain lion attack. I'm not saying those things don't exist or don't occur, because we all know they do, but they are rare. And so a portion of those that are deemed or labeled like that are actually Bigfoot, are Bigfoot related. Or
right, but I've never seen a report in the paper of a Bigfoot attack.
That's right. Well, because they know that if they put the report initially what you said, people they'll go out with firearms and pitchforks, and it will just shake the foundation of what is out there, truly out there in the woods. And so he's kind of the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. We've heard that statement. Right. He's kind of the guy that doesn't make the decisions, and he's told by his supervisor. I remember some months ago, I was interviewing a gentleman down in Fort Sill who, when he was in down there at Fort Sill, right, he's in another state right now. He's in Utah, but he told me, he said, Lance, I was told by my supervisor in no uncertain terms, I am not to talk about this to any officer, anyone, period. And that was the thing. Whatever you see out in the woods stays in the woods. And that was the military. So I don't want to take your time here, but I just wanted to...
okay. I want all the knowledge I can get. But what I don't understand is if these people know about this, somebody's going to get killed. I'm telling you that they're not nice. It wasn't friendly. It might as well have been a grizzly bear. If there was a grizzly bear there, they would want to warn everybody.
Exactly.
Hey, don't go to my reservoir. There's a grizzly bear. It attacked 2 people.
Exactly.
But why wouldn't they want to let people know, hey, there's a dangerous animal here. Don't go there.
Well, because in many respects, on multiple levels, it shakes the foundation of people at various levels. It shakes their faith. They feel that if these things are real, or that they believe these are real, it's going to shake their faith of Christianity, which I believe it actually strengthens.
I said a prayer. I told you that I froze. I went to the back of the boat. I left my cousin up. I even took his pistol from him. That's how scared I was. And I said a prayer, and in Jesus' name, I rebuked it. And believe this or not, I don't know what your faith is, but as soon as I did that, it was gone. It turned around, and it left. As soon as I said that prayer.
I believe it because we're Christian.
That's the honest to God's truth. I have faith in the Lord. I'm a Christian myself, and that's all I could think of doing. I prayed and prayed
did the right
and prayed,
thing.
and I rebuked it in Jesus' name. And next thing I know, it turned around and moved. It reminded me of a gymnast, the way it moved. And this thing was so, if you could see how big this thing was, Lance, you would be like, now how did that thing do that? It's almost like it was walking on air. I know that sounds funny and like I'm making stupid stuff
you're not.
up.
No, you're not. Because
But if you could have seen the way this thing moved, it was unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. Being scary and big, but the way it moved, if this thing wanted me, there's no way you could outrun it. There is absolutely no way you could get away from this thing. It covered a few hundred yards, and I might be exaggerating just a little bit, but I'm going to say a few seconds. Literally, and it was gone. And it looked kind of funny, but I don't know, like cat-like agility. It was like kind of bent over, and its knees, the way it ran, it's like his knees were always bent. It's hard to explain, but it's like it was built like a human kinda, but it didn't walk or run or anything like a human. It kind of was kind of hunched over a little bit, and then its knees were like almost at a 90-degree angle when he was like on his backstride, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yes.
Do you kind of understand what I'm saying?
Yes. They never fully extended like a normal human walking gait. They always kept in this flexed posture. You know, you're describing so much of what other people describe: the movement, the behavior, the quickness, the agility, the strength, the glide. Everything you're saying, believe it or not, is coinciding.
Has other people said they're fast like that?
Yes. You're saying all the same.
I mean,
verbiage.
unbelievably fast.
Yes. They're so fast that it almost, as my brother who had an encounter, when he saw it going across a wheat field, he said it was so smooth, there was no bouncing of the head. It was
right.
He said it was so smooth, it looked like an apparition floating on the soil.
That's exactly how I told you. It's like it was floating.
Yes.
I know it wasn't floating. It wasn't a ghost. I know it wasn't. But the way it moved like a cartoon, like its head never bobbed up and its body didn't bob up and down. It looked awkward, but so than any gymnast I ever seen. And when it first took off, after I said that prayer and it took off, it kind of just turned around, and it didn't never turned its head to look at me. It turned its whole body. And I was like, oh man, here it comes. Because it didn't look over its shoulder at me. I mean, it turned its whole torso around to look at me. Its legs were facing the other way, but his whole torso turned towards me, and I just knew I was hit. And then it leaped, and it covered maybe 20 feet in a single leap, and it wasn't like it ran and did it. It just, whoop, and it was 20 feet further away. And then it just took off at a dead run from 0 to 60 and nothing.
Was it still on this island as far as you're aware of? It didn't jump in the water or anything?
No, it was still on the island. That was the biggest island, the reservoir, and you won't have any problem seeing the big island if you get an overhead view.
Sure, sure.
I've never done it, but I know that you can because my cousin told me about it. Like I said, I'm not real computer literate.
That's okay.
I need to learn.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to call him John, this police officer.
Sure.
He stopped by, and we talked for a little bit. And he told me he turned on a cell phone a website that talked about people that seen Bigfoot. And we listened to 3 different things, and I could tell 2 of them seen the same thing I did. I could tell it. I could sense it. And this guy seen one in 1982, and he was almost crying when he was talking about it from that long ago. And there was one that I don't know if the guy was telling the truth or not, because it just seemed like, I don't know, it just seemed fishy to me. And whoever was interviewing him, he was kind of beating off of him.
Oh, I
if
see.
You know what I mean.
I see.
I don't know. I wouldn't say 100% this. I think this guy might have been looking for attention or something.
Gotcha.
But 2 of them I know for sure. I could tell by the way they were talking and what they said. It was exactly. The only thing I never heard them say was the way their nose was so pink on the inside. And if you seen one, you would know that. That's one thing you could not miss. That thing was like hot pink, almost like it glowed in the dark.
Well, what happens sometimes, I was thinking of that, especially with known animals in the known kingdom that of the animals we are aware of, like certain animals, like in the primate kingdom, like with certain primates, when they get upset or mad or anxious or aggravated, the capillaries in the nasal passages and they start increasing with blood, and so it's very, very evident to see this color change in these capillaries in the sinuses and in the mouth, in the lips and in the tongue, and it's very dramatic change because they have increased blood flow to those areas. But it's also used. They use that. With that change, it's a sign that basically I'm pissed, and it's a warning sign. It's an aggression sign when these changes occur in the sinus cavity, in the mouth, and things of that nature. So I can't say exactly that's what it is, but if it's anything like some of the primates that we are aware of course, that's kind of what happens. So. That was the first thing I thought of, but I could be way off base, but that was my first inclination as a possibility.
Seems to make a lot of sense because this thing was pissed, and I don't know why. I don't know what we did to piss it off. Always doing fishing. We wasn't making any noise, anything. We was flipping for bass. We was actually being kind of quiet.
Well,
and
what
then all of a
happened?
sudden that rock, and then a bigger rock, and then my cousin thought it was a big black man, and he's like, that big black man over there behind that tree, and it just didn't seem right. I'm like, what would a black dude be throwing rocks at us for? And then that's when all hell broke loose. And he was pissed. I mean, this thing was pissed. To look, it I thought it was going to eat me, to be honest with you.
When you had, I'm going to ask some questions about the size of this thing, if you don't mind. And I know you could be just guesstimating, and that's all you can do is guesstimate. What do you think? You told me that you thought the height was around possibly 8 feet in height, if not more. What do you think this thing weighed, roughly?
700 to 1,000 pounds. I've shot 7 elk in my life, and this thing was huge. It was 700 plus.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
That's a fairly good estimate, give or take 100 pounds either way. But it was huge, unbelievably, unfathomably. I can't. It couldn't walk through my pad. It couldn't walk through my sliding glass door.
Really?
There's no way.
Really?
It was every bit as wide as the back of my pickup truck. I mean, it was 5 feet might be too much, but it was every bit of 4 foot. I compare it to a piece of plywood. And that's huge when you put it on an animal. It was every bit 4 foot wide, at least 8 foot tall. At least 8 foot tall.
Did you notice?
No exaggerations. I've been in the construction field for a while. I can judge. I haven't been back. I'm not going back there. But when it grabbed us, it stepped out from behind that first tree, and it reached its arm around, and that was a big tree, big around. It went all the way around that tree, and its arm was like straight out, and it was over my head. It wasn't like he didn't reach up. He just reached like straight across, and his armpit was above my head, and I'm 6'1".
Oh, wow. That's an intimidating size right there.
So I wanted to follow up here with a post-review of this episode. I've never done one for any episode that we have published on our show, but I wanted to do so with this one because I thought it was very rare to have an event like this happen, let alone so recent. So some of the things I wanted to go through just a little bit. Now, we're going to have a part 2, and we're going to just proceed from where we ended here, and we're going to talk more into part 2 of some of the folks that chatted with him immediately after, and continues to chat with his cousin, the one that actually sustained the injuries from this Bigfoot attack. So we're going to get into part 2 and some of the reasoning why and some scenarios. And so in taking notes here, we noticed that in the very beginning, when they were fishing around this island, that they were seeing rocks the size of bowling balls. Well, it didn't dawn on them that a human typically doesn't throw rocks like that are probably 30 pounds. They were throwing them like a Major League Baseball player. They weren't being lobbed over, and yet he still could not see what was throwing this. It didn't process to them. So I thought that was very interesting. Again, you're not looking for it. It just kind of happens. Another thing that I thought in taking notes here was that the sound that made him sick. We know that when under severe fright or fear, you have a major adrenaline rush. Your sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight system, it's just such a rush of adrenaline, and combination of visual fear can make someone sick. We know that. But I also think that there might have been a combination of infrasound. Infrasound is sound waves that typically combined in such a way that could be within the range of hearing, but also infra implying below is the prefix for that. That if there's sound waves below 20,000 hertz, depending on the frequency, we possibly think that these can also make us ill. So that, in combination with just a visual fright of the size, sheer magnitude of how big this creature is, and all that combined can make him sick immediately, nauseous, as he said. With that being said, typically you never hear of anyone losing their bladder or voiding. And when you have that description and someone has enough courage to admit that, you typically see this in events that people had immense fear, immense fright. And so I appreciate this gentleman so much for being so open and honest with what really happened step by step, because we can learn from this, and others can learn from this, or even others that's had events happen, maybe not like this, but very similar, can step forward and share with us so we can learn to realize that these things are real, and you need to be aware, and you need to be prepared. So this release of bladder is also a sympathetic response. The ability to form urine or fecal material is a parasympathetic response. In other words, it happens, we don't have to think about it, thank goodness. But the releasing of bowel movements, the releasing of the bladder, is a sympathetic response. The sympathetic nervous system lies just below the neck and above the belt line. And what it does is it sends a lot of adrenaline into the system. It dilates the blood vessels in the upper arms and lower legs, what we call the upper and lower extremities, to engorge blood into these areas to flight, run, or fight your way if you have to. It removes a lot of the blood from the inner viscera, the guts, the organs, and it gets you ready to prepare yourself to live, right? So I thought that was a very interesting point that he made. You just typically don't make this stuff up. So this gentleman saw the real deal. That's what I'm indicating here with that particular description he had. The flaring of the nostrils you typically see in the primate kingdom. I'm not calling Bigfoot a primate. I'm just saying that in the primate kingdom, when you have a male or female very, very upset, but especially the males, they have larger nostril. When they get upset at another male, or they're trying to compete for mating, or they're upset at another animal and trying to protect a clan unit, they'll have an engorgement of blood just inside the nasal cavity, and it's used as a provocation type of indication. I'm pissed, I'm mad, you need to stay away, and they'll get this engorgement of blood that can look pink or a reddish color, and it adds to the overall characteristics of their yelling, their teeth showing. And so in this case, this Bigfoot was mad. It didn't want him around, and so this gentleman focused on that, happened to just really fixate on that. And so that's a detail you very rarely hear. So I thought that was really interesting, talking about this pink, this brilliant pink color of the nostrils. And lastly here, I thought it was interesting, this swaying back and forth with this lip or tongue clicking. I've heard this in some other encounters, but I thought it very appropriate here. A lot of these characteristics this gentleman was talking about that this Bigfoot did coincides with many episodes that we've heard, many of you and other people have known. This swaying back and forth tends to be a characteristic when they're nervous. They're not sure who you are, what's going on, and they're starting to get nervous. It's kind of like you tapping your foot on the floor when you're nervous or anxious. And this lip clicking tends to be a characteristic of a mad or upset behavior. And so that's what I believe was happening. And of course, it happened. This Bigfoot, he was giving all the signs. I don't know, you're too close. We don't know what he was trying to protect at this point. Was it a clan? Was it a family? Did they have little ones? Was there a larger group on the island? I think so. He believes that also. I'm not sure if he talks about it in part 2, but I'll have to go through as I'm publishing it. But he did, off the air, when I did not have an opportunity to record, he did talk about out of the peripheral vision, he saw what he believes was another Bigfoot out of his periphery. But he was too focused on this male that he didn't really try to see if there was another one. But I believe that's why he was acting with immense aggression. There was others on the island. It could have been other clan members, but that was the reason why. It was him and his cousin were too close. So that was his way to say, back off, and you're way too close. Again, we're dealing with a smaller island. And so that made sense to us both. Again, do we absolutely know? Of course not, but we'll never know at this point in time. So part 2 will continue. I'll get it on as soon as possible. I just wanted to do a little bit of a post review here. And what's interesting on part 2 is a lot of the people that came to visit and talk to this gentleman and his cousin, what they said in no uncertain terms, and what is continuing right now. So I hope you share this story. I hope it'll stay up, but again, you never know who's listening and if it'll be taken down. So I hope you get a chance to pass this on, at least hear it a couple times, and we'll go to part 2 here very, very soon. I promise. Take care.